So it is in my canon that Stark Technologies has brought Kevin back. Gave him a heart again and just some little things for fun. Yeah, so Iron Man costume. First, thank you to my cosplayers, Jolyn and Rosie. Thank you. I saw an opportunity to try armor for the first time, and armor is hard. Armor is really difficult. I'm going to fall a piece, probably throughout the panel and photo op, so they need some blue here. This is made of foam. Okay. So I was a little nervous about that. Thanks, Doug. It worked out. And sorry to subject you to that again. But I had to! It was the only way to make it work. Yeah. Trust me, it wasn't easy editing that clip. Just like watching it over and over again. Like, okay, cut this part out, cut that part out. But if Kevin comes back as Iron Man, I mean, totally worth it. Totally worth it. Well, hi to everyone in New Jersey. Thanks for coming out on a Friday. I'm sure too many of you ditched school and work. Which I feel terrible about. Like, I'm glad you're coming out, but you know, priorities, people. School is important. Work is...
Supernatural rules!
Alright. But thank you, anyways, for coming out. It's always nice to see people, especially with my costumes. Now, I was just talking to people backstage. I still get nervous about coming out and doing these things, especially with like the videos and stuff. Like, how is it all going to work? Is my costume going to fall apart during? Am I going to trip while I come on stage and not mean it? Yeah. And so it's still nice. So I'm really happy to be here.
It makes it fun for us to guess what you're coming at. Yeah.
That too. That too. And it's going to continue being a secret. Though I do want to. How many of you are coming to ChicagoCon? Anyone? Okay. All right. That's all right. That's the first. It's also a lot of work. With Chicago, I'm going to try something a little bit different. But we'll talk about that later. Anyways, if anyone has questions, please feel free to come up to the mic. I'll gladly answer them. Hello. A lot of issues with rights. I think Warner Brothers got DC, but not Marvel.
And you had to pick 3 people to come onto your show. Who would you pick and why?
Oh, 3 people? Like any people?
Any people.
Are we talking about people or hero people, fictional people?
Anybody you want.
Like we're talking about like Mark Sheppard, or are we talking about...
You could have it be Mark Sheppard as the Hulk.
Now who can't see that? Mark Sheppard as the Hulk. That would, yeah, okay. 3 people. Anybody on a show with Iron Tran. I really like the sound of that name. Iron Tran. That's a good question. Okay, tell me a little bit more about the show. What's going on? What is Iron Tran doing? I mean, this is just like an old Batman show. He just saves people.
Well, I would like to think that Iron Tran gets to show some of your ninja skills, unlike Supernatural.
He doesn't need to. He's got iron powers. Well, he's got technology on his side. He would be a scientist. Basically, he'd be a subsidiary to Stark Industries. He could start his own Tran technology. With Mark Sheppard as the Hulk. I mean, do you really need anyone else if you have Mark Sheppard as the Hulk? You know, he can talk all you want. Like, that's a power, being able to talk like he does. And then if he gets too angry, then, you know, Braun takes over. The Hulk is my favorite character. As much as I like Iron Man, the Hulk is still my favorite. He has the power when he needs it. Or not, and he never wants it. which means he never needs his power, which means he's happy being like a...
Kind of like heaven.
Kind of like heaven, yeah. Sure. Mark shook it as a ball. That's a nice image. Thank you for that. Hi.
Hi. So
I was familiar.
Yeah.
This year, last year?
Oh yeah, that was at ChicagoCon last year.
Great.
I remembered. Actually, my question was about the E4K thing. I was wondering, one, did it ruin League of Legends for you for a really long time? And two, if you're going to do a different thing this year or next year.
This year, I am definitely doing something. I'm still figuring out what it is, though. I've had some talks. I'm going to be... I've been saying about this. I'll probably end up doing something with Nisha as well. We're both going to be in Vancouver. We're still deciding what it's going to be. Maybe I said too much. But I really like one thing about the League of Legends thing that I really enjoyed was, when I got to play with people too, it was when I got to play games. Two, I got to really interact with a lot of the fan base, and I thought that was kind of a nice thing. And the reason why I did it for so long, because one thing I always considered, like, well, time zones. People are from all over the world. But being that it was a 24-hour thing, people can just jump in and out. So I really like that thing. So, I mean, if I end up running a marathon with Misha or something, I'll probably still do something online. And maybe we'll just do it like, I'll just come in, I'll be tired, and then like, all right, let's get into some game. Because doing something physical would probably be good for life. Exercise. Like E4K was nice, but I was just sitting in a chair for 26 hours. And yeah, it kind of hurts after a while. And I had a lot of snacks, and I feel like I'm not doing my body a service for doing that, so I should probably mix it up. So maybe I'll do like 6 hours, then I'll run a marathon, then I'll come back and do another 6 hours. That's endurance, right?
Definitely.
I'll think about it, but I'll be sure to post and share it. Nice to see you again. E4K. Any suggestions on what we should do? Okay, if I had to do something with Nisha, what should we do? That's not an endurance anything. Sailor Moon. I'm going to Sailor Moon with Nisha. What does that mean? We're going to dress up in skirts and solve petty crime. We can do 24 hours. Actually, that might be fun. Well, what else? Probably not running. I feel like running's like his crutch. We should probably stay away from running. Mud wrestling. His shoulders look so good right now.
Ping pong.
Ping pong. Yeah, ping pong.
Ping pong.
I suggested tennis. I mean, there's so many things, but it's got to be like an endurance something. Something where people don't get injured or die. Jenga and Sailor Moon. With way more plot. I mean, there's so many possibilities. And I think that's what really stumps me, is that you can do anything, right? But certain things, if we do certain things, it'll just take forever. Well, maybe we can just throw water balloons at each other one at a time. And but then we would go through thousands of water balloons because it's so easy. Running, at least, your body depletes, and after a couple hours, it just makes sense to stop. That is a test of endurance. Or if you're doing, I looked up endurance tests. I'm okay, what if we did a plank? Well, the world record's only an hour and 40 minutes. That's a long plank. And we probably can't even get close to that. So, I don't know, it's a tough one.
Ironman triathlon.
An Ironman triathlon. An Iron Tran triathlon. Where I would design something. So it could be like a decathlon, except with events of my own choosing, and we can do it at a stadium. I feel like Misha's less organized than that. So we would probably just meet up at a park and do something. I mean, I'll think about this. If you have any brilliant ideas, like Sailor Mooning. Sailor Mooning, that's something else. If you have great ideas, please, like, just tell me later, because we're brainstorming, and I don't know how many great ideas I can come up with. Hi.
This question is about the period of time between when Dean cried and when Tony started writing back life. So Kevin didn't get a choice in the matter because the whole Reaper Heaven system is broken. But if he had, do you believe that he would have chosen to move on to heaven or stay behind because of unfinished business like Bobby did?
Kevin is definitely the type that would stay behind with unfinished business. You know, he was never about himself. Like, his entire life, it was always to do something, like, for a greater good, right? And, I mean, at any point, even during school, you know, he could have relaxed, he could have played Skyrim all day, but, you know, he had to study, right? And same with reading the tablets, he could have taken a nap, but he just couldn't bring it to himself when there's so many more important things than, you know, his own health and his life, you know, ultimately. So I definitely think Kevin would stay behind and do anything he could possibly do to help the cause. So. Which is fun. But yes, I mean, probably one of the reasons why I like the Kevin character so much is, you know, he was so self-sacrificial. You know, he just did what he had to do, and that, you know, that's something that I aspire to in my everyday life. It's not hard. Like, Kevin, like, dress up as Iron Man. I just had to do it.
Hi. So you're saying that kind of stuff, like stuff. Do you think if Kevin had like the choice, like give his prophet powers to someone else, even if it was an innocent person like him, and go back to his old life, would he have? And if you had the choice, and if you were in that position, would you have?
That's a good question. I mean, technically, yeah. Well, I guess he didn't have a choice. He'd have to kill himself. But that's the coward's way out, you know, as Kevin would see it. Me personally, and I don't think, and I think it's the same with Kevin. I would never want to burden anyone else with that. Again, you know, it's the whole yourself, like everything else before you. You know, if Kevin can't handle it, who would he trust that can, right? I mean, it's such a big burden, and you know, like every hero, except for Iron Man, I guess, but every other hero, you know, they're placed this responsibility, this burden to get this power. It's ultimately up to them to choose to ignore it or to do something good with it, right? And I quote Uncle Ben so much, but with great power comes great responsibility, and it's part of your responsibility to do good with it. You know, like, I'm up here on stage, and I'm talking to a room full of people that are willing to listen. You know, it's my responsibility to do something, and not only to do something fun, but to not make a fool of myself, or not, you know, bring the name Supernatural down or anything. You know, I have a responsibility to show to myself, you know, to us as a society and human beings, you know, that I have to uphold certain standards. So, like, no, I wouldn't push that onto someone else. If they're given that gift or that curse, you know, it'd be their responsibility as well. I wouldn't take it from them, but I wouldn't give it to someone else either. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Last year, I was here, and it was your first convention too, if I remember correctly. In the past year since then, I've quit my job after 10 years, gone back to school full time, just because it was a dead-end job, it wasn't going anywhere.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
And how has your life changed the most in the past year?
Oh. What has happened in a year? It kind of feels like it's felt like a decade, honestly. There's been so much that's happening. I mean, when that scene happened, my world changed. That was one big.
So did ours.
Right. It was such like, I don't know, you get comfortable, like, you get comfortable, you finally had a day job, it was like something normal and regular. Every 2 months at least I would get to go back to Vancouver to visit my family. Like that was a nice thing to have, right? When that happened, everything just started shifting again. All the pieces became like loose, and it's like, okay, now I gotta rebuild this puzzle. How is my life gonna be? A lot has changed. Like these conventions have been so much fun, but being that I had decided that I was going to cosplay at every single one of them, it takes a lot of work. I mean, I have amazing cosplayers who do the bulk of it, but coordinating with 8 people at the same time about different things, and also deciding to do video things for everything now, there's just like a lot of pieces of, okay, this is how I'm going to present. Like in Vancouver was just so crazy. I'm like, okay, Richard, I just need you to not do your normal thing. It's like, do this. When that happens, this will turn on. When that turns on, that person will turn that on. Then I'm going to come up in that time, and that person will turn that back on. At which point you'll do this. It was just like so many pieces. But I get worried and I get nervous, which is great because it makes me enjoy these things. So I mean, that has taken a huge amount of my time. Way too much, probably. I don't want to be a professional cosplayer. And yeah, just like enjoying the convention. Like I'm such a con person. I mean, last week I went to DragonCon for fun. It was like a last minute thing, and I didn't tell my agents or anything. So they're probably angry. They'll probably be very angry if they find out. Yeah, keep that to yourself. But I just had to go because I heard so much about it, and that was the cosplay mecca, in terms of conventions, and so it was like a last minute thing. The week of, and I just decided to, I sent them an email, like, hey, I was curious, I want to go, and they're like, oh yeah, totally, I'm like, I just want to be an attendee and not do anything else. So I went, and it was so much fun, and like going to San Diego Comic-Con, these are things that I've always done, and having all these supernatural conventions in between that I get to dress up at, like, for now. It's just, I'm such a con person, so I gotta probably reel it back a little bit. So that in itself, and also just post Supernatural, like working on the show, you get spoiled, you really do. Like every other set I've been on, it's like, well, this is nice, but there's always that for like everything. These guys are nice, but, and it's just because Supernatural, it is such a family. Like you go on set, like these people have known each other for 10 years, a lot of them, right? They've had kids. They've gotten married, their lives have changed entirely. They've become such a big part of the show that, being on it even for the 2 years that I was, they adopted me into that family, and it was a sad thing to leave. So like every other show, there just isn't that familiarity. That there are just so many inside jokes that everyone gets, and everyone goes out of the way to waste time for like an hour. There's just so many little things. And just like the type of projects, since last year, and this is thanks to you guys, I used to be an actor with like several good credits under my name. It was like finding work is not a problem. It's just like, okay, which project? Now I'm an actor with several good credits under my name and an amazing fan base that I never could have expected. And it just, and thank you so much for that. But that changes it so much to a point that I never knew. Like now I have the option of turning down jobs if it's like offensive. And there's a lot of times the roles are very offensive. I'm like, I can't do this, not because I don't like the script, but I feel like this character is doing a disservice to, to my heritage or this culture or this sect, or you guys got it completely wrong. This is not, so there's a lot of these things that I'm starting to speak up about, and it's because I have the support of people, and I get to say these things. So I've been a lot pickier than I used to be. And at the same time, I hate waiting. As an actor, that's my least favorite thing, waiting for auditions, waiting for callbacks. And so I've been developing scripts with some good friends. A good friend of mine, Eric Sturkey, he's an amazing writer, and I've been developing scripts with him. And so this is me trying to learn the other side of production and wanting to produce eventually. So we've got this one script that we're almost done with, and I'm excited. So once it's done, I'm just going to start pitching that, and hopefully my life will change again. So a lot has changed since New Jersey. It feels weird that that's only been a year. Was that a year? No, that was a year and a bit, right? A year and a half? Okay, that makes more sense. Right. Oh, I think that was one of 2 conventions that I didn't dress up as. So weird. That is so. I can't imagine myself coming to a convention wearing clothes. That's so strange. I hope that never happens. Okay, does that answer your question at all? A lot has changed. A lot has changed since New Jersey. That one really kicked it off. I was such a noob back then. I had no idea what to expect. First convention. Man, okay, bye.
I have a question. If you knew your character, Kevin Tran, was still going to die in Supernatural, and you could choose who would kill you and how you would die, who would you choose and how would you die?
If I to redo it again?
Yes.
You know, it's funny, in ChicagoCon last year, someone asked me this, and this was before all of this happened. And someone asked me, it's like, if Kevin were to die, how would you want him to die? And I said, for maximum drama, I'd have Sam killed. And then like the next week, Jared comes up to me and is like, I hate to do this to you, buddy. That was too unperfect. But if I had to do it again, I don't know. I mean, the death meant, I mean, it did a lot. Like, Bobby comes back and kills me. Is there a death in the veil? Like, there's so many different levels. Can they kill you in the veil?
Sure.
Yeah, they can. And this is the one answer I would want Crowley to kill me, because I believe Crowley's a good guy, and if anything, Crowley's going to be the one that brings me back. Big Crowley fan. If anyone other than Sam were to kill me, you know, it'd be cool if Garth killed me. Can you imagine if werewolf Garth killed me? And he's like, transformation, he's like biting my head off, and then he like slowly transforms back, and he's like part of my face, and his mom's like, oh no, Kevin! And I can just see DJ's face. It's like, that kind of tastes like squirrel. Something DJ would say. That would be terrible. But let that be the answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Hi.
Hi. I was just wondering, we should have rent act for this ALS Ice Bucket Challenge going on. And I'm just wondering if you have a cause or a charity that you really care about, to know about, or there to be more attention.
And this is another thing, like, we absolutely love the fandom for it. It's like your willingness to help a cause in need. I don't have a specific charity that I'm for, but I absolutely love supporting charities. It's whichever one catches my attention. Like, one thing I love about Random Acts is that it's random. It's much like my life, that you don't like pick and choose and say, like, I don't believe in ultimates, like never or always, because things always change. You can only know so much about this world and your own life, your own person, your own preferences. You know, that I never really want to attach myself to any one thing. I mean, the Supernatural fandom is like, that's as close to an exception as you're going to get. But I never like to, you know, just say, like, I'm all in, though I do for most decisions. For charities, like, I will support Random Acts, I'll support Homeboy, like the Florence thing, I'll support, Jared's thing. Like, if you have a charity, I would support it. It's just like, I'll see things, because there's so many good causes. Like, how do you pick and choose that, this one is that's the one? I don't know. I just feel like there's so many things. Like, if I were to support anything, it would be education-based. I think that is probably the biggest thing that I was a terrible student. And I'll be the first to admit that, but I was a good role model. That was a very different thing. Everybody thought I was going to go to Harvard. So I was president of the student council, I was president of the district student council, I was voted Good Citizenship Award, best role model, all these things. So everybody thought I was going to go to Harvard, but the truth was I was like a C+ student at best. And I enjoyed school, I enjoyed the people, I enjoyed doing things, but I never knew how to apply myself in the classroom. But I never thought I was that big of a dummy. It's just, different people learn different ways. And there's too many school systems that don't recognize that. You'll have like geniuses who you have these kids with like 200 IQs that are taking remedial courses because no one has recognized, their way of learning, their board. So education is definitely, I think, the most important thing. I think it changes, you change your future. Education for kids, for adults, it enables people, it gives them the tools to do a lot of other things, including supporting other charities, right? It's like you don't just give a person a fish, you teach them how to fish. And I think education is that, and it's very core. And so if we're helping all these kids in, less well-off places to educate, have them start to think and explore all these different options, I think you just enable communities to help themselves. And so that would be something that I support.
Yeah, that just reminded me, I know you guys don't want to hear me talk, or Osric talk, but Nelson Mandela has a really cool quote that education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world.
Yeah, that education is the, sorry, can you say that again? Education is the most powerful weapon in which we can change the world. Yes, I think that is very helpful. Thank you. I think we have time for one more. Okay, that's one more question? Okay, one more question.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was wondering if you could be any other character in Supernatural?
Probably.
Would you?
Sorry, finish your question.
Would you be another character, or would you stick with Kevin?
Stick with Crowley. Sorry, could you repeat your question one more time?
If you could pick any other character in Supernatural to play, who would you pick, or would you stick with Kevin?
Crowley. Kevin is an amazing character, honestly. I mean, playing Kevin changed my life too. There's very, very, very rare that you get to play a character that has gone through so much change, and especially in such a short time. I mean, you look at season 7 Kevin, whatever. Season 7 Kevin, and when he died Kevin, completely, and completely different, through the paranoia. Like, he just changed so much. Like, season 8, my hair just grew slowly. And I always thought they would give me a haircut, but they never did. And so he just, he's gone through so many changes, and so you don't really ever get to play characters that do. And Crowley's the same way. And so Crowley also gets to be evil at times. So, he gets to play both good and evil, kind of, but it's like up to your interpretations on what kind of character
We're not taking you off, by the way, Osric. We're not. We're just here.
Happy birthday, Richard.
Thanks. I'm ready. Like I told you, just like we rehearsed it. So we know you're running out of time, but let's do speed round.
Okay.
We're going to do speed round, so I want everybody to get their question in.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, we can do that.
Here we go.
Crowd,
Speed round, go.
All right, I was wondering if you had a cosplay that you ever really wanted to do, but it was too daunting.
You're not doing cosplay.
There's a couple, but I'm probably going to do it eventually.
Don't give them away. No spoilers. You.
You get recognized on the street more often in a normal setting?
Recognized in the street.
Definitely, but I'm not 6'5", so I can blend in when I choose.
Very true. You, ma'am.
What's your favorite episode of Supernatural?
Favorite episode of Supernatural?
Reading is fundamental.
Reading.
Yeah!
Also a good lesson for the kids. It really is. You.
What was your favorite line to say in Supernatural?
Favorite line to say in the TV show Supernatural?
That's hard. You didn't get into your safety school, and there's a demon in you.
There you go. And right here we go.
I don't know if you remember me, I spoke to you at D4K last year.
Okay. I don't know what the hell she just said, but
And how was Gish for you this year?
Gish was fun, really bonded with the team. They changed my life as well as another thing. 14 people all over the world that I need to visit now. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, you're coming to karaoke tonight, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't want to tip the hat, but are you dressing up for karaoke? Say nothing. Are you? Don't tell me. Are you going to?
My fingers are going now, so I think I'm going to have to take it off.
Come on. You're going to do something. You're going to dress up as something. Iron Man.
I can pull something together.
I knew it.
All right, fine.
You'll see tonight. Osric Chau. There's a bunch of crap going on. I don't know what it is, but go get involved in it. You know what it is. You paid for it. Go get in line and enjoy it. Right now, let's play out a little Out the Swine Town, and then we're gonna. I think Gil's gonna be here in a little bit. That's exciting. Between touchdowns and Gil McKinney. This is gonna be a little loud and swaying, a sample of what you